Hello everybody, my name is John Fredriksson. As you already know, I'm a start animator, and welcome to Animation in Progress, where today I will sit down and talk about the latest animation that I released called Eva Simple. I have noticed something that many people probably come in here and expecting animation, and when they see example quick draw or something, they don't expect me to talk. So to help you along, this is what it's going to be like. I'm gonna start talking about the process, about the animation, from idea to sketch to finish. When that's done, I'm gonna go over some points where I think the animation should have been better, or some thoughts that I had during the time I did the animation. And last, I will go what's gonna happen in 2020. So let's start off with the process. I'm sorry. So we're gonna start off with the process, and it has taken 2 years, and many people out there will go, it takes 2 years to do the animation? How slow are you? Well, obviously it's taken 2 years because I've done other things. I've done different sort of jobs. This is not a full-time job, this is more of a hobby, and I enjoy I enjoyed this a lot, but every animation takes super long time to do. If this was a full-time job, if I did it on my own, it would probably take, to do this, for me alone, would take about 4 months to do it. If I worked 8 hours every day, apart from Saturday and Sunday, but 5 work days, 8 hours every day, it would have been, that would be the time, how long it would take. So let's jump into this. This is for 2 years ago I got this idea, and I had this idea about doing an animation from a series that I'm still working on. It's coming more onto that as I'm working on the script again. But we are going in with I was going in with the idea of making one of the characters from that and making an animation. Her name was Eva, and she was a robot. And the first thing I figured out was I'm going to just sketch up some quick sketches. And on my side here, I'm gonna use this light here, and hopefully you can see them. A little bit of details and all that. I use both sides to this. So there's a top one and a bottom one, about position how I wanted it to be. This one is upside down. Let's do it like this. Some of the hands, and this is the second one. Hopefully you can see it, because the main focus of this idea was the hands. I really enjoy the hands, and I got this position which I thought, yeah, I like this character, let's do this. I did some more things, but I don't know where they are. It could be anywhere. For the design and the idea of the character. So when I got that one down, I started to doing the rough and later on the cleaning one. And this pile here, gonna do a sound like that. It's all the cleanup, all the animation inside of this stack of paper. The biggest one I have, because they are all signed differently. All these folders are different places. Now, the biggest one I have is the one on the top here, which is the front side, which you see it's the longest, in the last bit of the animation. Together with all of it, the rough animation, and together with the cleanup animation, it is 94 hand-drawn pictures. All individual, all separate, all different. And it took me a super long while to finish that. And this took the longest to do, and I had to go back and forth a lot when it came to that. And it was super fun to do this part. This part was amazingly fun to do, because I always love to do it by hand, and then to see it on a screen. So this became the goal of everything. Later on, as as the cleanup became done, I went over to do the backgrounds, and this is the ones that are in the front right here. Also, the fronts are also hand-drawn, handmade, and I think the best one I can pull out is this set piece right. Can I take it to the light again? Right here. This is a whole string of animation. The part that you see is this part inside of the animation, and this came in the bottom together with the background, which was also hand painted. To be honest, I'm just gonna stop saying that because everything in this one is hand painted, together with this lovely background. Let's see if I can get it like this. Looks alright, not bad. So there were 4 backgrounds that I used. Only 3 are showing in the animation because one got destroyed during production. During this process also I used different sort of colors. The one color that I've been mentioning most of the time is this color, is Fleus, F-L-E-U-S. I've said this wrong many times. Fleus, F-L-E-U-S. I'll repeat this one. It's a super good for painting backgrounds. It's even better for using as cell animation because it's thick and it works perfectly. It's not that expensive. You can get a box for about a decent price, and the jar holds on for a very long time. Unfortunately, it ran out, and it didn't allow me to buy single dairy, and I couldn't buy them. So if you're also not like me, not willing to spend that sort of difficulty of getting those sort of paint, which I would recommend that you do, you can do as I did later on. I'm using simple aquarelle paint, which worked perfectly fine. So those are the paints that I use for both the background and the cell animation. I'm gonna pick one, and I know which one I'm gonna pick because I'm mostly proud of the one that is the hands. The hands are the ones that got me focused from the very beginning. We're gonna do it like this. Take one up, and there we have it. One of the hands in full display. I'm really happy about this one. It came out really, really good. So that became a process. This took the longest process for me to do, because many times you did a mistake and you had to redo one. Luckily, I also know how to redo and can just wash them off later on. There is a video on this very channel about how to clean cell animation. And this was all done. All of this, I'm also gonna mention, that is a good mention, all of the paper that is on this side, which is the rough animation, and the cleanup combines over less than 250 pictures. Separate ones handmade, less than 250. All of these ones, the cell animation, hand painted and hand drawn, are how many were there? Oh, there were about 122 individual cells during this little short. And when all of that was done, when the cells were cleaned, the background was done, it came to how the film was going to be made. That's the only time I ever used a computer. What I did was I went in and used my copy scanner and scanned both the background and the cell animation at the same time. So I got everything into one frame, to one picture, both the background and the cell animation. And when that one was done, there was about a little bit of a cutting that needed to be done. It could have been easier, but in my mind, I went going, I will do this in Paint, which worked pretty much fine. For every section of film, for instance, this section with a hand, which is section 2, it's called. Section 2 had different numbers of cutting, how big the picture was going to be, since it didn't take all of the screen. But when all the cutting was done, for every frame, for every cell animation, it came to being posted onto Windows Movie Maker, where you can actually do where I did all the animation, when I look up every single rough that I ever do, because it's simple, it's nothing complicated. And when it came to the film, and I'm gonna use this one for this specific reason, is that this, if you can see all the numbers that are on this, if you can't, I'll tell you about them. This is the section, this is the last section when the character is talking towards the camera. Also the character who is doing, and the person who is doing the voice of the character Eva is Elin Hilling. You can find her on YouTube. I think it's called just Elin Hilling, or you can go and watch the animation and her name and YouTube channel will pop up on the end credit. Now on this one, which is the last section, I was synchronizing the voice with the cleanup art, and so I counted them all out. So the first couple of pictures, 1 to 13, is 0.08 seconds per picture. That means that every picture goes 0.08 seconds. So it goes fast. And for a regular animation, which is 24 frames per second or 30 frames per second, depending on how you film it, but the regular one is 24 frames per second, you do 0.04 or 0.05. I'm not 100% sure right now at the moment, else I would have else I know it, but that will be that 24 pictures during 1 second is for one picture it's 0.04. And for this one, from picture 1 to 13, it's 0.08 because it was a little bit longer. And from pictures 14 to 16 is 0.1, so a tenth of a second, and so on and so forth. This went on for quite a while. I had to do this for just this section, but it was worth it because it came out pretty good. And after that, it was just to render and to send it out to YouTube and waiting for all of your responses. And there were mixed responses. Many were impressed that it all was handmade, and some of them wondered what the heck she's saying. What is this? This looks awful. So it's about 50-50. I don't bother with that sort of thing. It was a test, and I really enjoyed this test because we're gonna jump into segment number 2. And segment number 2, it's all about 3 things. Number 1 is I'm telling that everything takes time, and it does take time. But when it comes to doing the filming and doing that sort of thing, I am just one individual, and I'm speeding through this process. And as I went through, I forgot steps all the time, and all the steps were different. Different things you have to do. You have to do the backgrounds. You have to think of the things. And the one things that popped in so much in my head that I could have just erased is that to do parts. And parts could have been so much easier on the paint and so much easier on the animation. It would have been more to paint, but it would have become much nicer in the end. Which comes me to the second one, which is that the paint that I used ran out and I had to change paint, and it shows pretty hectically, or pretty, like, it shows that it's a different color, which is ruining the animation for me. And I think the third and the most important part is that when I was doing all of the animation and it was done, when I thought it was done, I sent out a video telling, oh, this is the cleanup art. and I was doing the cell animation, and I was doing the tough one first. But all of a sudden, someone says her head is shrinking, her hand is off, and that sort of thing. And I went to my head and I go, oh, that I can't change it. And also, I could change it, but that means I need to sell out. I need to do new cells. I need to do new things. I don't have enough paint. Shit, now I'm just gonna go for it. So the major things that I have all the way through is that when it came to the cell animation, which I've never done, I've done this sort of animation working on paper and such, but when it came to cell animation, I was thinking that, oh, you can just cut it, but instead I would have been more, it would have been more useful if I, for example, measured out where the character was gonna be and then painting it on a certain section on the cell, instead of being the person that I am and just drawing them and then figuring out as I go, to have a plan of what you're doing. So working with cells has been a learning experience to go, okay, learn your position when it comes to animation, especially when it comes to the finish. Where's the characters going to be? Where are certain things? And the following, many other things are just moving about as well. Because I was scanning them, I didn't want to press them down or anything to make holes in them, because these are hard to find, to redo, to restock, because they don't exist. The existence is nearly impossible to find unless you find a good school, which I've been working on for quite some time, and finding these overheads that they're overhead cells, which works perfectly for this sort of animation, which is just homebrew animation. It's not a high productive animation. This is homebrew animation. But it's a lot of things that and the question is, as I fall back to it again, would I do this again? For some things would be great to do. I missed so much when I started finishing this, and I forgot parts and that sort of things, because I'm alone. I don't have other people who paint for me. I don't have other people who does the background for me. I don't have other people who checks. I have people who can check up for me about the animation, if it looks great or if it's sort of dodgy. But the thing is that I have no one to help me do the process. So everything is done by my own, everything is done by hand, everything is done from the head to the thing. I'm actually gonna do this. There was several things that I missed. In the background there was gonna be like strands of hair hanging from the ceiling and coming down to her shoulders, and it was gonna be looking quite well. And then we're gonna have this effect, which I'm going to show you right now, which is a sparkle effect, which I didn't end up not using in the final animation. So that's it. There's a bunch of stuff that I could improve that I think is best. Is it good? I think it is. If for a first time, it is as great as I can ever have done it, even though I felt stressed in the end that it just needs to be finished so I can continue with my life a bit. So this has been a fun experience. I probably will not do it again, but I will definitely use the cell animation for something else. Another idea that I have that will still use cell animation, it will still use paint, but it will be definitely more thought out. And pretty much this is everything. It's all connected into this lovely little box, which I'm gonna put it in as same as I'm talking about 2019. It has been a little bit of a rough year because I'm still looking for a job to feed me, which is always fun that you're gonna do. But in the end, 2020, I have a couple of ideas for another animation. If you go over to my Facebook and go to Art and Animation by John Fredrickson, you will see a character design which I'm working on. It's a D&D story, which me and a couple of people are working on and designing. I'm gonna do all the animation and probably gonna get I'm gonna see if I can get some help this time, because being more people to be on this, it's always better. But in any case, the best thing we can ever hope for is that it will be done. So that's gonna continue. We're also gonna continue with 1, 2, 3, go. No, I'm gonna say 1, 2, 3, draw. That's the one we're gonna continue, because I love that sort of thing. And again, it's about just being during an hour, just drawing whatever you like, just whatever you want to draw, or requests from the audience or the people, or if you just want to draw something fun. It's something that has done, just sit down and doodle for an hour, which I think it's always important. It sounds a lot. Which I think it always is super important to keep on drawing. That's it. 30 seconds of animation inside a box. It is done. It is finished. It will be taken care of right now. The cell's gonna be cleaned, and it's gonna find a home together with some other animations that I have finished and done before. So yeah, happy 2020. Some new animations gonna come out. I'm gonna show you a little bit of probably behind the scenes, and we're gonna continue with 1, 2, 3 draw. Let me tell you that this 2019 has been fun for some reason. It's finally done, actually, so I can now finish and do something else, which is always the funniest part. But in any case, thank you so much for watching. I'm gonna put these ones down as well. What a show I'm making. It's fantastic. But in any case, thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please give it a like. And also have a look at other videos that I put out if you enjoy animation, and if you're starting animation as well. Subscribe if you enjoy this content, and you know what? Keep on drawing. I will see you all next time. Happy 2020. I have literally nowhere to escape. We're just gonna fade.